the golden age of Hollywood, a time when dreams were dressed in diamonds and fame shone brighter than the stars, a few exceptional people rose above the rest. These individuals were more than just actors or entertainers. They were architects of their own destinies. They started with nothing, yet through hard work, determination, and a little bit of luck, they reached unimaginable levels of success and luxury. They not only conquered the silver screen but also made their mark on society itself. Their lives were larger than life, full of glittering parties, grand mansions, and the admiration of millions. Yet behind every success story was a journey filled with hunger, heartbreak, and relentless ambition. These were the legends who transformed fame into something everlasting, whose names remain synonymous with the golden age of Hollywood. Clark Gable stands at the top of this list. More than just a movie star, Gable was the embodiment of the American dream. Born into poverty in Ohio, he experienced hardship from a young age. Before entering Hollywood, he worked in tire factories and oil fields, performing grueling labor just to survive. Yet he never let his circumstances define him. He dared to dream, even when most people told him it was impossible. Hollywood wasn't easy for him at first. The studios were selective, and competition was fierce, but Gable's persistence, rugged charm, and his unforgettable smirk made him impossible to ignore. One breakthrough role changed everything, launching him into superstardom and bringing wealth that would be worth millions in today's terms. Despite his rise to fame, Gable stayed grounded. He wisely invested his earnings into land, cars, and other ventures, securing a fortune that extended far beyond his acting career. When World War II broke out, he paused his Hollywood life to serve his country, proving that his sense of duty and character were more valuable than any paycheck. His California estate became a symbol not just of wealth, but of triumph earned through resilience, determination, and integrity. When Gable passed away, he left behind more than money. He left a legacy of humility, courage, and the reminder that true greatness is built, not inherited. His life teaches us that royalty and respect are earned through hard work, bravery, and perseverance, rather than being born into them. The second star on this list is Cary Grant. Few names in Hollywood carry the timeless sense of class and sophistication that Grant does. But the man behind the suave persona was born Archibald Leach, a boy who faced poverty, loneliness, and abandonment. Growing up in Bristol, England, he endured hardship, often sleeping in theaters as he dreamed of a life far beyond his difficult beginnings. When he arrived in Hollywood, he completely reinvented himself. This reinvention was not based on deceit, but on self-determination and a desire to become the best version of himself. Grant mastered charm, style, and the business of acting with incredible precision. He didn't just appear rich on screen. He became wealthy in reality. Through careful planning, wise investments, and smart career choices, Grant turned his movies into lucrative opportunities. He broke free from the strict studio system at a time when actors had very little control over their careers and began managing his own professional path. He invested heavily in real estate, stocks, and other ventures, quietly growing his fortune over time. By the time he retired, Cary Grant was not just one of the most beloved actors, but also one of the richest. What made his story truly remarkable, however, was his character. Despite immense wealth, he lived modestly, gave generously, and always emphasized that true success is measured by the obstacles you overcome rather than the things you own. His life demonstrated that the ability to reinvent oneself is one of the greatest talents a person can have, proving that wealth can be both financial and emotional, built from resilience, intelligence, and self-belief. Marilyn Monroe comes next, a name that evokes both beauty and tragedy. Born Norma Jean Mortensen, her life was far from easy. She grew up in foster homes, moving from place to place, experiencing loneliness, and enduring a childhood filled with instability. Yet Monroe possessed a spark that couldn't be extinguished. She dreamed of a life in Hollywood, and despite the hardships she faced, she pursued it relentlessly. Her early career was marked by small roles and rejection, but her determination and charisma gradually won over audiences and producers alike. Monroe became an icon not just because of her looks, but because of her undeniable talent and presence on screen. Monroe's wealth came from her movies, endorsements, and savvy management of her career, but it was her personal struggles that made her story compelling. Behind the glamour and fame were battles with insecurity, health issues, and the pressures of living in the public eye. Despite this, she achieved what many could only dream of. She became a global symbol of beauty, talent, and star power. Monroe's story teaches us that success often comes with personal challenges, and that fame and fortune alone cannot shield one from life's difficulties. Her life reminds us that resilience and determination are as valuable as talent, and that true legacy is built not only from accomplishments, but also from the way one faces adversity. Next is Humphrey Bogart, a man whose rugged looks and distinctive voice made him a Hollywood legend. Bogart came from a comfortable background, but was far from destined for stardom. He had to work tirelessly to make his way into acting, starting in theater before gradually breaking into films. His rise was not immediate. He faced numerous rejections and setbacks. However, Bogart's persistence and unique style eventually earned him iconic roles in films such as Casablanca and The Maltese Falcon. He wasn't just acting for fame. He was creating a brand of his own, combining toughness with vulnerability in a way that captivated audiences. Bogart's wealth and success were the result of smart career choices and careful financial planning. He invested in properties, movies, and other ventures, building a fortune that would secure his future. Despite his fame, he remained grounded, known for his loyalty to friends and strong moral compass. His life teaches that even in Hollywood, where appearances can be deceiving, authenticity, perseverance, and smart choices are the true measures of success. Bogart's story also highlights that wealth and fame are fleeting unless paired with integrity and strategic planning, which ensure a legacy that endures. Then there's Bette Davis, a powerhouse of talent whose intensity and dedication set her apart. Born Ruth Elizabeth Davis, she faced many obstacles early in life, including a strict family environment and challenges entering the acting world. Davis's determination was unmatched. She fought for every role and refused to be typecast, continually pushing herself to explore complex, challenging characters. Her performances earned critical acclaim and brought her significant financial rewards. Davis's fortune was not merely the result of acting. It came from her insistence on control over her career and her strategic choices in negotiating contracts and selecting projects. She invested wisely and lived a life that balanced financial security with creative fulfillment. Her story is one of courage, determination, and the refusal to settle for mediocrity. Davis demonstrated that success in Hollywood is not only about talent, but also about strategy, resilience, and the willingness to fight for one's vision. Next on the list is James Stewart, an actor whose everyman persona and genuine kindness won the hearts of audiences. Stewart grew up in a middle-class family and pursued a career in acting with dedication and humility. He served in World War II, temporarily leaving Hollywood to serve his country, and returned with even greater respect and admiration from fans and peers. Stewart's wealth grew steadily through his films, wise investments, and careful management of his finances. Unlike many stars, he avoided extravagance, instead focusing on stability and giving back to the community. His story reminds us that wealth and fame can coexist with humility and service, and that true success includes contributing positively to the lives of others. Another legend is Elizabeth Taylor, whose life was as dramatic off-screen as it was on. Taylor faced personal challenges from a young age, including a complicated family life and early entry into the pressures of Hollywood. Yet she possessed immense talent and determination. Her acting career brought her enormous wealth, but Taylor's financial acumen was equally impressive. She invested in jewelry, real estate, and businesses, building a fortune that rivaled her on-screen success. Beyond money, Taylor used her fame for philanthropy, advocating for causes such as HIV/AIDS awareness, proving that wealth and influence can create meaningful change. Her life story emphasizes the importance of resilience, foresight, and using one's platform for good. John Wayne, the embodiment of rugged American masculinity, is another figure whose wealth and legend endure. Wayne's early life was marked by ordinary beginnings, but through hard work, talent, and a relentless pursuit of excellence, he rose to become one of Hollywood's biggest stars. His roles in westerns made him a household name, and his earnings grew alongside his fame. Wayne invested wisely, managed his career carefully, and built a legacy that extended far beyond his films. His life demonstrates that consistent effort, strategic planning, and a commitment to one's craft are key to building lasting success and wealth. Audrey Hepburn's story is different, yet equally inspiring. Born into a turbulent European environment during World War II, she faced adversity from a young age. Hepburn's grace, talent, and determination propelled her to the top of Hollywood, earning her fame, fortune, and admiration worldwide. Beyond acting, she invested in causes close to her heart, particularly humanitarian work with UNICEF. Hepburn's life shows that true wealth is not just measured in money, but also in impact, compassion, and the legacy one leaves behind. Fred Astaire, the king of dance, built wealth through innovation, talent, and charm. Astaire's dedication to his craft, along with his meticulous approach to his career, allowed him to succeed in a competitive industry. He invested wisely and lived prudently, ensuring that his legacy endured long after his last performance. Astaire's story teaches that discipline, innovation, and a careful approach to finances are essential for sustaining success in the entertainment industry. Finally, there is Lauren Bacall, whose deep voice, striking presence, and sharp intellect set her apart. Bacall navigated Hollywood with grace, building wealth through a combination of acting talent, smart investments, and business acumen. She lived a life that balanced professional achievement with personal fulfillment, showing that wealth and fame can be managed with dignity and wisdom. Her story emphasizes that intelligence, resilience, and careful planning are as important as talent when it comes to building lasting success. The golden age of Hollywood was not just about glamour and fame. It was about the courage to dream, the perseverance to overcome obstacles, and the intelligence to manage success wisely. These legends, Clark Gable, Cary Grant, Marilyn Monroe, Humphrey Bogart, Bette Davis, James Stewart, Elizabeth Taylor, John Wayne, Audrey Hepburn, Fred Astaire, and Lauren Bacall, remind us that wealth and fame are products of talent, hard work, resilience, and smart choices. Their stories inspire not just admiration, but also lessons on determination, reinvention, humility, and the enduring value of pursuing one's dreams with unwavering commitment. Each of these stars started from humble beginnings, faced challenges that would have stopped lesser people, and rose to build fortunes and legacies that endure to this day. Their lives teach us that behind every glittering Hollywood mansion, every sparkling red carpet, and every moment of fame, there is a journey filled with ambition, courage, and relentless pursuit of excellence. They show us that true success is measured not just in money or recognition, but in the strength of character, the ability to overcome adversity, and the wisdom to use wealth and influence responsibly. This collection of stories from Hollywood's golden age is a testament to human resilience, creativity, and the power of dreaming big. Each star faced unique challenges, from poverty and family struggles to the pressures of public life and personal battles, yet they all persevered. They remind us that dreams are achievable when combined with dedication, strategy, and a willingness to evolve. They also teach that the most enduring wealth is not just financial. It is emotional, intellectual, and moral, built through the choices we make, the challenges we overcome, and the legacy we leave behind. These legends of Hollywood did not merely act in films. They crafted lives that became art, inspiration, and history, leaving lessons that continue to resonate with generations around the world. Their journeys show us that the path to success is rarely easy. It requires hard work, patience, sacrifice, and courage. But those who persist, adapt, and act wisely can transform their lives, creating legacies that outlive them. Hollywood's golden age stars demonstrate that fame and wealth are not simply gifts. They are achievements, earned through relentless effort, smart decisions, and the courage to keep going despite obstacles. They encourage us to dream boldly, work tirelessly, and invest not only in our careers, but also in our character, relationships, and personal growth. Through their stories, we learn that the richest form of success is not just measured in dollars, but in the resilience, wisdom, and impact one leaves on the world. The lives of these Hollywood legends continue to inspire countless people today. They show us that no matter where we start, no matter how many challenges we face, it is possible to achieve greatness through talent, determination, and strategic action. They remind us that wealth and fame are not ends in themselves, but tools to build meaningful lives and legacies. By studying their stories, we gain insight into how courage, intelligence, perseverance, and integrity can transform ordinary beginnings into extraordinary success. These stars prove that the golden age of Hollywood was more than a time of glamour. It was a time when ambition, resilience, and vision created legends whose impact continues to be felt around the world. Clark Gable, Cary Grant, Marilyn Monroe, Humphrey Bogart, Bette Davis, James Stewart, Elizabeth Taylor, John Wayne, Audrey Hepburn, Fred Astaire, and Lauren Bacall were more than celebrities. They were visionaries who turned dreams into reality, hardship into opportunity, and talent into lasting wealth. Their stories are reminders that success is possible for anyone who is willing to work hard, persevere, and make wise choices. Hollywood's golden age was a proving ground where only the brave, persistent, and intelligent could rise to the top. And these stars exemplified that truth perfectly. Their lives encourage us to pursue our dreams relentlessly, invest in our futures thoughtfully, and use our abilities and resources wisely, leaving legacies that inspire, uplift, and endure long after we are gone. These stars teach that true wealth is multidimensional, encompassing not just money and fame but also character, resilience, and the ability to positively influence the world. They remind us that every challenge faced and every risk taken contributes to building a life of significance. The golden age of Hollywood remains a shining example of how perseverance, talent, and intelligence can transform ordinary individuals into legends. Their journeys encourage us to dream without limits, embrace challenges as opportunities, and recognize that real success combines achievement, wisdom, and integrity. By following the examples of these icons, we learn that greatness is attainable, and the pursuit of dreams can create a life of meaning, wealth, and enduring impact that resonates far beyond the silver screen. From the poverty of Ohio to the glitz of Hollywood, from abandoned theaters in Bristol to the height of cinematic fame, from foster homes to global recognition, these stars turned their struggles into stepping stones. They leveraged their talent, worked with unwavering dedication, and made smart choices to achieve what many could only imagine. They became more than just actors. They became symbols of possibility, proof that with courage, intelligence, and persistence, anyone can rise above their circumstances. Their lives remain instructive, showing that success is as much about the journey and the choices made along the way as it is about the destination itself. Hollywood's golden age stars remind us that dreams, no matter how far-fetched, can be transformed into reality through relentless effort, strategic thinking, and a refusal to give up. Each story also illustrates the importance of managing success wisely. Fame and wealth can be fleeting if not paired with smart investments, careful planning, and an understanding of one's values and priorities. Stars like Clark Gable and Cary Grant demonstrated that financial acumen and foresight are just as important as talent in ensuring a lasting legacy. Others, like Elizabeth Taylor and Audrey Hepburn, used their influence and resources to make meaningful contributions, showing that true wealth encompasses both material and moral dimensions. The golden age of Hollywood, therefore, provides timeless lessons about ambition, perseverance, and the balanced pursuit of success. The human side of these legends also resonates deeply. Behind the glamour and recognition were real people facing fears, insecurities, and personal challenges. Marilyn Monroe's struggles with self-worth, James Stewart's humility, Bette Davis's fierce independence, and John Wayne's commitment to excellence reveal that true greatness is not free from struggle, but is built despite it. Their resilience and courage in the face of adversity provide inspiration for anyone pursuing their dreams, reminding us that setbacks are a natural part of the path to success. These stars teach that the measure of a person is not in avoiding obstacles, but in how they confront and overcome them. Furthermore, these Hollywood icons exemplify the power of personal reinvention. Many, like Cary Grant, began life with hardships and reinvented themselves through determination, vision, and hard work. They show that identity is not fixed, and that anyone can reshape their life and career if they are willing to take risks, learn, and adapt. Their stories reinforce the idea that talent alone is not enough. Strategy, intelligence, and resilience are equally critical in achieving enduring success. In conclusion, the golden age of Hollywood offers more than entertainment. It provides lessons in ambition, resilience, intelligence, and the wise management of success. Clark Gable, Cary Grant, Marilyn Monroe, Humphrey Bogart, Bette Davis, James Stewart, Elizabeth Taylor, John Wayne, Audrey Hepburn, Fred Astaire, and Lauren Bacall were pioneers who turned dreams into reality, adversity into opportunity, and talent into lasting impact. Their lives demonstrate that wealth and fame are earned through hard work, strategic thinking, and moral integrity. They remind us that the richest form of success combines financial achievement with character, influence, and a positive legacy. By learning from their stories, we are inspired to dream boldly, act wisely, overcome challenges, and leave our own mark on the world. Hollywood's golden age continues to shine, not just as a period of glamour, but as a timeless testament to the power of perseverance, intelligence, courage, and vision in creating lives that inspire, endure, and transform generations. These legends prove that no matter how humble the beginnings or how difficult the journey, it is possible to achieve greatness. They show that talent, when combined with persistence, intelligence, and the courage to face obstacles, can lead to extraordinary success. Their lives remind us that fame and wealth are not ends in themselves, but tools to build a meaningful life, influence others positively, and leave a lasting legacy. The stories of these Hollywood icons encourage us to dream without limits, work with dedication, invest wisely in ourselves and our future, and strive to create a life of impact and significance. Their enduring legacies serve as a blueprint for anyone seeking not just success, but true greatness, proving that the golden age of Hollywood was a time when talent, ambition, and perseverance came together to create legends whose influence continues to be felt around the world. Clark Gable, Cary Grant, Marilyn Monroe, Humphrey Bogart, Bette Davis, James Stewart, Elizabeth Taylor, John Wayne, Audrey Hepburn, Fred Astaire, and Lauren Bacall were not just stars on the screen. They were examples of how ordinary people can achieve extraordinary things through vision, resilience, and determination. Beneath the laughter, the shining blonde hair, and the bright camera lights, Marilyn Monroe was far more than the glamorous icon the world thought she was. Behind the stage name and the sparkling image, she was a woman of deep intelligence and strong awareness of how the world worked. Born with the name Norma Jean Mortensen, she experienced hardship long before she ever stepped in front of a camera. Her childhood was filled with foster homes, instability, and a constant feeling of being unwanted. The loneliness she carried from those early years shaped her view of life. As she grew, she realized that people paid attention to her beauty, and she learned to use it not as a shallow charm, but as a doorway to change her entire fate. Her appearance became her strength when everything else in her life had seemed beyond her control. Marilyn understood the power of fame in a way few others did. She knew that Hollywood was a business before it was a dream, and she refused to let herself be controlled like so many other actresses of her time. She did something nearly unheard of during that era. She demanded equal pay to her male co-stars. At a time when women were often underpaid and undervalued, she stood firmly for her worth. And when the studios tried to control her image and her roles, she made a bold move that shocked everyone. She created Marilyn Monroe Productions, becoming one of the first major actresses to own her own company and her own identity. Hollywood was forced to treat her not just as a beautiful face, but as a businesswoman who understood contracts, ownership, and negotiation. Her business decisions did more than raise her income. They changed the industry. She proved that a woman could take control of her image and her power. She invested her money with intention and strategy. She purchased property, collected valuable art, and built assets that continued to grow even after her life ended. Even today, decades after her passing, her estate earns millions every year because she created something larger than fame. She created a legacy. There was always a sharp mind behind the playful smile, a woman who understood exactly what she was doing while the world underestimated her. Marilyn once said, "I don't mind living in a man's world, as long as I can be a woman in it." And she stayed true to that, living boldly, beautifully, and on her own terms, no matter how difficult the path was behind the scenes. Elizabeth Taylor carried a different kind of power, one that seemed to radiate effortlessly. With her striking violet eyes and a presence that could silence a room, she was seen as Hollywood royalty from a very young age. Born in London and raised in Los Angeles, Elizabeth entered the film world before she was 10. By her teenage years, she was already a star, but her influence did not come simply from her beauty or her fame. Elizabeth Taylor understood value, both personal and financial. She knew the strength she held and refused to let others dictate her worth. She became the first actress in Hollywood history to earn $1 million for a single film when she starred in Cleopatra. That amount changed the industry forever, forcing studios to acknowledge that actors could negotiate powerfully, especially actresses who recognized their own significance. Elizabeth's financial wisdom extended beyond her acting roles. She invested heavily in diamonds, art, land, and luxury items that only increased in value over time. She built a personal empire worth hundreds of millions, and yet she was not defined by money alone. Elizabeth lived a life filled with love, heartbreak, illness, and public attention, but she faced all of it with grace and determination. She survived 8 marriages and lifelong health struggles, and instead of hiding from the world's judgment, she stood proudly in her truth. Later in life, she used her wealth and fame to fight for causes that others feared to speak about. At a time when society rejected those suffering from AIDS, Elizabeth became one of the loudest and most compassionate voices for awareness and research. She helped save lives, raised millions, and brought visibility to people who felt abandoned. Her wealth was not just financial, it was emotional and human. She lived beautifully, fiercely, and bravely, proving that true richness comes from how deeply you live and how fearlessly you love. James Stewart, on the other hand, displayed a quieter kind of wealth. He was loved not only as an actor, but as a person of sincere warmth and honesty. He came from a middle-class family in Pennsylvania, far from the glitter of Hollywood. His success did not come overnight. It came slowly, built from discipline, patience, and faith in his craft. His performances in films like It's a Wonderful Life, Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, and Rear Window made him a symbol of integrity in both cinema and real life. But what many people never realized was that James Stewart was also a man of sharp financial wisdom. At a time when actors were often tied to contracts that limited their earnings, he chose to take part of his pay in profit shares. That decision allowed him to earn ongoing income from his films long after their release, turning him into one of the wealthiest actors of his time. Stewart also served in World War II, not as a celebrity figure, but as a dedicated pilot who put his life at risk. When he returned home, he did not use his service for praise or attention. He simply went back to work, carrying his humility like a quiet badge of honor. His wealth was not displayed through lavish mansions or expensive public indulgence. He valued comfort, family, and the private joys of life. He lived with dignity and generosity, showing the world that greatness does not need to be loud. His richness existed in his goodness, his kindness, and the way he treated others. Sophia Loren's story was one of transformation and courage. Born in poverty in the war-torn streets of Naples, Italy, she grew up hungry, both physically and emotionally. She had almost nothing, yet her spirit was unbreakable. Her beauty was striking, but it was her inner strength and ambition that made her world change. When she stepped into the film industry, she brought something uniquely her own: warmth, intelligence, and sincerity. Her talent earned her global admiration, and when she crossed into American cinema, she became one of the most successful and highest-paid actresses in international film. Her Academy Award win for Two Women showed the world the depth of her abilities. Instead of spending her fortune wildly, Sophia invested in property, art, businesses, and secure financial foundations. Despite becoming a global icon, she never forgot her humble beginnings. She stayed grounded, loyal to her family, devoted to her craft, and always grateful for how far she had come. Her real wealth was found not just in money, but in her gratitude, her strength, and her lasting grace. Humphrey Bogart, known for his rugged roles and unforgettable presence, also built his legacy through determination. He was not handed fame. He worked for it slowly, role by role, until his performances in films like Casablanca and The Maltese Falcon made him a cinematic legend. Behind his serious expression and sharp personality, he was a man who refused to let Hollywood consume him. He carefully watched how fame destroyed others, how money disappeared when handled recklessly, and he made choices that protected both his craft and his future. Together with his wife, Lauren Bacall, he formed his own production company, taking control of his career in a time when actors were expected to obey studio demands. That decision allowed him artistic freedom and financial independence, making him one of the smartest businessmen of his era. His wealth was quietly built and deeply respected. Yet the most valuable thing Humphrey Bogart left behind was not money. It was integrity. He was someone who believed in truth, in love, in loyalty, and in standing firm in what he believed was right. In a world of glamour and illusions, he remained real. All of these icons, Marilyn Monroe, Elizabeth Taylor, James Stewart, Sophia Loren, and Humphrey Bogart, came from different backgrounds, different countries, and different levels of hardship, but they all shared something powerful. They refused to be shaped by the world around them. They shaped themselves. Their wealth did not appear magically. It was built through pain, ambition, intelligence, courage, and belief in their own worth. They proved that true success is not handed to anyone. It is earned by those who dream boldly, fight bravely, and refuse to surrender to circumstance. Their stories remind us that every shining star once walked through darkness, and every legend was once just someone who refused to give up.